right, this is 3-11 for algebra, example number 1. Two siblings, Edwin and Rhea, are both going skiing but choose different payment plans. Edwin's plan charges $45 for rentals and $5.25 per lift up the mountain. Rhea's plan was a bundle where her entire day cost $108. All right, so we have two different things going on I can see already. We've got an Edwin plan, and we have a Rhea plan. So what's it even asking me to do, huh? Part A says, set up an inequality that models the number of trips n. So right away I can see that they're asking me to use a variable. They're defining a variable for me already, so I need to be using n. So set up an inequality that models the number of trips n. So n is equal to the number of trips up the mountain for which Edwin will pay more than Rhea. So that's a little tidbit there. Edwin more than Rhea. Actually, let's go back to our green. Edwin more than Rhea. So if I were to write that out, if I were to kind of like read that, that would be Edwin more than would translate to the inequality greater than, right? I think that's a pretty decent leap, which is this way. Edwin greater than Rhea. Okay, so we need to now create some expressions to represent how much it's going to cost Edwin and Rhea to go skiing this day. So if we come off to the side and do a little work here, I need a green pen for Edwin. So Edwin is going to be equal to, so his is $45 for rentals. So you're only paying that $45 once, right? You don't need to pay for the rentals every single time you go up or down the mountain. That's only happened one time. But the $5.25, that is happening each time you go up the mountain. So that is the piece that's going to be multiplied by my n variable that we have so fancily in orange. And so now Rhea was in yellow, but I don't really have yellow pen to write in because that would look weird, so let's just do red. And Rhea, remember Rhea got the bundle, and her plan is $108 no matter what. $108 no matter if she needs the rentals or doesn't need the rentals, and no matter how many times she goes up and down that mountain. So now that we have our expressions for Edwin and Rhea, we can go ahead and fill that into the inequality here. So Edwin was that 45 plus 5.25n. I'm going to keep that inequality greater than, and then Rhea's amount is just that 108. And so now I have an equation, or sorry, just kidding, an inequality set up that we can solve and get an answer to. So minus the 45 to get that n piece by itself, 108 minus 45, I don't know, 336 maybe, 108 minus 45, 63. I had it backwards. Swoop. And the 5.25n. And to get rid of that 5.25, we can go ahead and divide both sides by the 5.25. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm struggling. Okay. It's not erasing. Whatever. There we go. All right, so 63 divided by 5.25 gives us 12. So n is greater than, notice the way I paused there for a second to think about it to make sure I was saying the right inequality. So n is greater than 12. So we need to make sense of this because this is a word problem. We can't just leave it there. We have to write a sentence. Ooh, nice little hair there. We need to write a sentence and explain what this means. They wanted us to find out at how many trips up the mountain that Edwin will end up paying more than Rhea. So you got to be careful here, because while you might think the answer is 12, 12 doesn't work, because if I plug 12 into this equation, 12 is not greater than 12. That is not true. So in order for Edwin to be greater than Rhea, the number of trips up the mountain has to be greater than 12. So I'm going to zoom in here. For Edwin to pay, not May, for Edwin to pay more than Rhea, RHEA, I think it was, he must take 13 or more trips up the mountain. Or instead of saying 13 or more, you could just throw right in there more than 12. More than 12 trips. That's the key piece there. That's where the N being greater than 12 comes from. More than 12 trips, greater than 12. Let's do B here too while we're at it, and then it's only one video. So part B, what is the greatest amount of trips that Edwin can take up the mountain and still pay less than Rhea? Okay, so we can very easily set up another inequality for that, and that might be the thing that's easiest for most of us. So how many trips Edwin can take up the mountain and pay less than Rhea? So instead of greater than this time, we want less than. So same basically inequality, but let's go through it anyways. So 45 plus the 5.25n less than Rhea's 108. Still going to minus that 45. Still going to get 63. I remember that, and I don't need to go look that up because we already did that math in the calculator. Still going to divide by the 5.25, because really the only thing that changed was my inequality. So the greatest amount of trips that Edwin can take up the mountain and pay less than Rhea, based on this inequality, is less than 12 trips, which less than 12 trips simply translates to 11 trips. So Edwin can take 11 trips up the mountain and still pay less than Rhea. And you might have been able to deduce that from the fact that N had to be greater than 12 for him to pay more than Rhea. So then it just would have to be less than 12 for him to pay less than Rhea. But if not, like I said, the inequality didn't take that long to solve and set up, and now you're golden.